Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5 a.m. Club. I'm at a very, very special location today. You may not know where I am, but what we'll do is we'll just go for another little climb here to see and to reveal this secret location to all my friends and family. And we'll also indulge ourselves in a 5 a.m. book summary. Here you go. How many other people do you know who take you on a journey every single day and are able to showcase and highlight the magnificence of this city of Sydney? For those who are unaware where I am today, I'm on the cliff face here at Manly. It's dawning. It looks like it's low tide. There's a long way down there, but it's a glorious, a spectacular Sydney winter's morning. And when I come up the top here, you'll see that you can enjoy a 360 degree view of Manly Beach and the surroundings. What a glorious day. What a great day to be alive, well and healthy. A day where we can celebrate being who we are and enjoying what Sydney has to offer. So, what do we do now? Where do we go now? What I'd like to do is take you on a small journey. Let me walk along this cliff here, making sure I don't fall off, because just so you're aware, there's at least a 200-metre drop to that platform down there. And we've got the sky. Before, the whole sky was red, a beautiful, beautiful red. And now it's starting to light up, which is probably the right cue that I need in order to commence my book summary, given that I've got some notes here and I can read them with the first light of this glorious day. It's Tuesday. You got Shiller Beach down there, and you got South Stain just on the other side. So there's a number of swimmers. I don't know if you can see them in the water, but there's a swim club here called Bold and Beautiful, and they're doing their morning swim. It's a 750-metre swim from the surf beach to Shiller Beach, and another 750 back, so 1.5 kilometre round trip. But a glorious, glorious day from a magnificent cliff face where we can see all the way down south, and more importantly and more beautifully, all the way north, all the way up to Broken Bay. So I'll be going up to Barrenjoey Point after this video to do another couple of 5 a.m. clubs, because I've got some time off work at the moment and I'm in the mood. I'm in the mood to learn, I'm in the mood to share, and I'm in the mood to make the most of this day. Anyway, what I want to do today is take you through a book entitled Narrative Economics by Robert Shiller. And it's a book which talks about, I guess, different economic theories, but most importantly, it reminds us that economies are made up of people, and people are made up of habits and emotions, and it's not all about numbers and statistics. So the author kicks off his book with a quote where he says that the economy is driven by humans who are motivated by beliefs, biases, passions, fears, greed, and all the stories that we share about them and all the stories that they share about themselves. So I think one of the first things that I learnt as an economist, I did economics at Sydney University, was that no two economists share the same views on anything. Economists are all differing in their views, and for that reason, it's just an opinion science based on assumptions, based on views, based on statistics, but more importantly of all, it's based on human behaviour, which we all know. For those who have been married, for those who have grown up in families over the years, that we all are similar in many ways, but also different in many other ways as well. Wow, how beautiful. How beautiful is this? Just on the cliff face up here, and it is quite precarious. So for those who don't like heights, and I see a lot of boulders down the bottom of that cliff face there, so hopefully this cliff will hold up with me positioned up here, but it's a beautiful outlook. So bear with me, stay with me, and what we'll do is we'll enjoy this sunrise, this magical sunrise together, remembering that the objective of Jim's 5am Club is to highlight and showcase the beauty of this city of Sydney, and today I'm in Manly, and to also overlay it with a message of empowerment so that we can all live, learn and pass it on, grow and develop, and make the most of the day, which is evolving as I speak. So the author then goes on to talk about the fact that we all have stories, but not everybody's story, and not all stories are equal. No, we all have popular stories that are popularized by the media. Check out the sun glistening off the building over there. The sunrise, a dual sunrise, east and west. Whoa, this is beautiful. So not all stories are equal. Not all of our stories are equal. Not all of the stories that our parents say are equal. Not all of the stories that the media say are equal. But some stories are spun in a way that make them popular, and they generate popularity because they play with our feelings, they play with our emotion, and it's important that we all understand that Tikani Sani Frida, agapi mo pospas, zakapau para puli. My Auntie Frida just popped up there on the screen, so she's watching. So vicariously, my auntie in Greece is watching this sunrise in Australia. How wonderful is it that we have technology where I can be on the other side of the world and I can be connecting with my beautiful auntie who I haven't seen for over 2 years now and experience the same thing together as one. So going back to the book summary here, we've learnt from this author that not all stories are the same. Stories can be manipulated, stories can be embellished, and stories can influence us in many ways. But we need to learn to be able to zoom in on the surrounding narratives that we have around us in order to understand how it impacts us and impacts all of the people around us. I guess for most of us, COVID-19 at the moment is playing games with our heads and with our lives. And there are two key narratives. On the one hand, you've got the narrative of let's get vaccinated, let's express and leverage our social responsibility and do what is right. The Prime Minister is calling it out. The Premier is calling it out. The religious leaders are calling it out. My Archbishop is calling it out. And all the leaders that I know are calling it out. And yet, we have another narrative played out by the media, played out by others, which is based on fear. So it's important to understand that we are surrounded by narratives. We are surrounded by people who are motivated by fear, uncertainty and doubt, and have something to gain by creating fear, uncertainty and doubt as well. So the first formal point to come out of this book from this author is that we need to understand how stories affect business. And one of the examples that this author uses is a great example, and it's the story behind Bitcoin. I don't know if you're aware of Bitcoin or if you've been caught up in the wave, but Bitcoin is one of those things that has a number of people who are loyal followers. And Bitcoin is one of those, I guess, concepts that is interesting to follow. I must admit, I have an interest in following Bitcoin, not as an investor, but just as a person who wants to understand human behavior and how I can use it to leverage other things. Just as I'm speaking here, I just want to let you know that there's this massive pot of whales just off the coast here. So hopefully we'll be able to see a few breaching shortly. But there may be, 10, 15 in a pod. I can see the water just spraying probably about 1 kilometre offshore. We'll see how we go, but it's whale season here in Australia. Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, and it was introduced online in 2008. So it's been around for 13 years. And believe it or not, it's only now that I've cottoned onto it and am watching it closely. And it's caught up in a range at the moment between $40,000 US and $30,000 US. And a very, very dangerous time, because the people who have invested in cryptocurrency, in Bitcoin, over the past 6 months, most of them are in the red at the moment and are watching the market very, very closely, because if it dips below 31,000 US, it will fall potentially into an air pocket and drop all the way to 20,000, which means that some potential investors could lose an absolute fortune. And yet, there are others who are still spruiking and saying that Bitcoin could reach $600,000 this year. It's currently 30,000 US, and could go to $12 million by 2030, which is 9 years away. Who knows? I saw with interest today that Donald Trump talked about Bitcoin, and he doesn't support Bitcoin, saying that the US dollar should be used to, control and manage the currency markets throughout the world. So Bitcoin is based on an innovative and complex mathematical theory, and is quite impressive, to say the least. and people get excited. And the reason why people get excited with Bitcoin, and this will probably help us understand why they get on board and why they spruik it and why they get so carried away with it, is that Bitcoin is revolutionary. And some people get excited with revolutionary things because they want to see themselves as being forward thinking. They want to try and stand out as being smarter and more informed than the rest of the population. Probably the wokey sort of people are the ones who are most likely to get sucked into Bitcoin. But it's based on an innovative and complex mathematical theory, as I said, and it's exciting, and people get excited about it because it's revolutionary. They seem to think, they could be right, that it's a way of the future, and by investing in Bitcoin, they're taking a stake in the future. I guess like a lot of greenies, they get on board because they think that they're going to change the world. It's only when you get a few years under your belt, where you hit 60, 61, 70, that you start to realise that everything changes, but nothing much changes at all. But the people, as I said, who are interested in Bitcoin seem to fancy themselves as forward thinkers. But time will tell if they're forward thinkers or if they're people who are going to be dreading the day where they made that decision to be, I guess, erratic in their investment strategy. Because what happens, as the author here suggests, is that Bitcoin attracts, it sucks in the people who want to be free of government control and the control of banks, thinking that these institutions are manipulative and are corrupt. And they support and suggest and promote the internationalism. And they talk about removing corruption from the world. And how can you remove corruption from the world when it's in our very nature? We all are influenced. We all are greedy. We all have our failings. And to a certain extent, we all are victims or purveyors of corrupt thoughts and corrupt actions. Give a person enough rope, as they say. My Uncle Angelo used to say this: give a person enough rope and they will hang themselves. Oop, I've got the crows up here with me, so I better make sure that I've got steady footing. I hope these crows aren't here to celebrate my falling. Anyway, these people, and we're getting back on topic now, are caught up in a thing called futuristic narratives, where they try to read, they try to surf, and they try to be part of the future. But this futuristic narrative is what fuels. It's the fumes of this futuristic narrative that fuel this exciting story called Bitcoin. And as I said, only time will tell whether or not it's something which has a soul, something that has a basis, or is it just hot air which is going to see a natural but painful death to a lot of investors. The author then goes on to talk about the commonality or the common thread that we have between epidemics, pandemics, and economic narratives. So how can economic narratives and epidemic narratives have something in common? Let me explain. Because what the author says here is that both of those narratives are based on one thing in common, and that is the commonality of contagion. They are fueled by contagion rates. And the more people talk about pandemics, the more people talk about, as I say, I've got the crows around here, so I'm all interested in the crows. So the more people talk about these pandemics and epidemics, the more it fuels fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And Bitcoin has been has received a lot of boost from this contagious thought, where people talk about it and talk about it, the media talk about it, every Tom, Dick and Harry talks about it, and before you know it, everybody's talking about it, everybody's excited, and then you've got groupthink kicking into it, where people are blindly following each other and leading themselves to who knows where. So Bitcoin had 2 step-ups, according to the author. In 2014, it had a huge step-up based on this contagion of media coverage and people whipping themselves into a frenzy and group thought, and back in 2018. So it's very, very similar. The way economies work, the way financial markets work, the way the stock market works, the way the housing market works, is it's all based on contagion. People following other people. So it's all based on emotion. It's all based on fear, uncertainty, doubt. And it can be the fear of losing, the fear of missing out, or the fear of losing more money. It all depends on what cycle you're in and how caught up you are. So let's finish off with the last formal point from this wonderful book. And we all need to understand the narratives of our past if we want to be ready for our own economic and social futures. Our parents, our uncles, our aunts, our grandparents, our cultures, our traditions, our religions, our teachers, our schooling, our sporting events, all of those things have been influential narratives in our lives. They are the stories that we hold on to. They are the stories that shaped our days, our lives, and our decisions, even today. A lot of the things that we did as children were based on these narratives, and a lot of the things we do today, a lot of the beliefs that we hold today, the empowering beliefs or the disempowering beliefs, a lot of the fears, a lot of the problems, a lot of the traumas that we hold on to are things, according to this author, that are based on narratives that we've picked up through our lives and held on to. But we have to understand that these narratives are real, and these narratives are more important than statistics, because these narratives are our reality. So you've got a choice. Your choice is to examine the narratives that you've been surrounded by, examine these narratives that have been passed down to you. Some are valid, some are invalid, some are rational, some are irrational. But we need to understand that these narratives influence our lives, they influence the way we see the world, and they influence the way we see ourselves. But the important thing for each and every one of us is that we need to have the power to tailor our narratives in a way that are going to empower us, and to get rid of, just like this cliff face got rid of the boulders, the narratives that didn't serve it, we too need to get rid of the narratives, the stories that we have that have infected us and hold us back in our lives. Governments, people, investors, we can all learn from narratives. And by studying narratives and trying to link it to human behavior, we can tailor policies for future narratives. We can tailor our investment strategies. We can alter, we can shape our future, and we can harness the emotions that come from these narratives. So, as I said before, so that they can serve us. Anyway, I think I've talked for a lot longer than what I was expecting to, but I got a little bit more excited. I got a little bit excited today because I saw my beautiful Auntie Frida online. She's in Greece. It's evening in Greece there at the moment, or later on in the afternoon. And here it's dawn, it's daybreak. Anyway, let's finish off. I'll finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, stay reasonable, and most importantly, let's understand that the stories that we have, the narratives that we have in our lives are important. They shape our reality, and we each have an opportunity to reshape, to remodel those narratives, to eliminate, like this cliff face, to eliminate the narratives that we've inherited and that hold us back, and to build other narratives that are going to serve us and give us the strength to get through the day, to keep us relevant, to keep us connected, and to make us better people and better contributors to society and to the families around us. Thank you once again for joining me on this wonderful episode of Jim's 5am Club, where I come to you from the cliff face here at Manly Beach. We are surrounded by beauty, immense beauty. Sydney has a lot of beautiful, magnificent places. And I encourage each and every one of us to get up, get off the couch, get out of the house, and start to discover the beauty that exists on your doorstep. There's only so much that I can show, but nothing beats being here. Nothing beats hearing the crashing of the waves, seeing the sun rising yet one more time, seeing the whales breaching and spurting off the coast, and I guess enjoying the fruits of this day. So γεια σας, take care, φιλάκια και τα λέμε. Bye for now, and I wish you all the best. Here we go, we've got a sulfur-crested cockatoo. Just join me. Έχω παρέα. Έχω παρεούλα. Έλα. Opa. There he goes. Γεια σας, and bye for now. Bye bye, Auntie Frida. Σ' αγαπάω. Με υγεία, να είσαι καλά και να χαιρόμαστε τις οικογένειες και ο Θεός μαζί μας. Γεια σου, θεία. Σ' αγαπάω πάρα πολύ.